Good afternoon, everyone. We are here from Waterperry Opera Festival. My name is Bertie Baigent. I'm the music director, and I'm here with
Thando Mjandana, and I'm singing the role of Nemorino.
And we're going to be doing a coaching session on Una Furtiva, although in our translation that we're using, we would call it I Saw a Tear Fall from Her Eye. But it's one of the most famous arias in the whole opera, so I'm sure you'll recognize it, whichever language you're singing it in. So, thank you very much, Thando. Let's go from the top.
Yeah.
Beautiful, yes. We'll take a little bit of time at that cadence that we just got to. Weep for Joy, fantastic. Let me just get that in. I always think it's, in this aria, it's amazing because there's the combination of a really long line and also quite a lot of very crisp rhythms.
Yeah.
So for instance, I saw a tear fall from her eye. And then things like moment. You've got a little demi-semi-quaver in there, haven't you?
Yeah.
And I think all of that's part of Nemorino's expression at this time, that he's obviously very upset, but also he's got those kind of moments of nervous energy in the piece. And I wonder if we can bring a bit more of them out as well. Mm-hmm. You know, things like you've got all those grace notes as well, and they can be quite quick and nervous as well, if you like.
More crispy,
Yeah. What further sign? Oh, what are the words? What further sign could I see?
Yeah.
That sort of thing. So it's just got a little bit more of that kind of energy as well as the really long line. Should we just try that from, if I give you a bar in?
Yeah.
Perfect.
I saw a tear fall from her eye as she turned away, and in that silent moment I knew what she could not say. What further sign could I seek? What further sign could I seek? Darling, you cried for me, and I could weep for joy.
Yeah, lovely. Really, really nice.
Yeah.
In the first, what further sign could I seek?
Yeah.
It's fine to change the place where the words are, I think, but give us those grace notes as well. What further sign could I see?
Sign could I see?
Exactly,
Okay,
yeah. That would be that'd be great. It's a very small thing that. I was going to ask, on the bottom of page 230, where are you going to breathe in that line, just so I can go through in the right places?
So normally I would da di da 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 di. What further sign could I seek, darling breath? You cried for me, and I could weep for joy.
So breathing before could.
Yeah, actually.
Or you could breathe after me.
That
sort of draws more attention, doesn't it, to the end of that cadence.
Yeah.
Shall we go from the first, what further sign could I seek?
Yeah.
I'll give you a bar before that. Actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
What further sign could I seek? What further sign could I seek? Darling, you cried for me, and I could weep for joy. Soon I will hold you in my arms as you sweetly sigh. Our hearts will beat in unison. I'll wipe every tear from your eyes to feel your beating heart, to hear you sigh. Your head upon my chest, your hand in mine, darling. No need to be blue. I love you. I'd die for you.
Yeah, fantastic. So just a little placing in that
Yeah,
cadence.
yeah.
Great. Lovely. I really liked what you did. This is on page 231. To feel your beating heart.
Yeah.
All the words are really, really clear there.
Beating heart. Okay.
And I wonder if so that was amazing. I think maybe your head upon my chest as well. If that can be just
should
as
be
clear.
in that same way. Okay, cool.
I think so. Yeah, it's same melody, isn't it? So
Yeah. Feel your beating heart, to hear you sigh.
yeah, lovely.
Your head upon my chest. Da, da, da. Yeah, okay.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And so of the two verses, which do you think is the more intense, or which do you want to be the more intense?
The second one.
The second one, okay.
Yeah. Because the first one, he's saying, I saw a tear fall from her eye as she turned away. So whatever that he's saying that to himself. And in that silent moment, I knew what she could not say, blah blah blah. And in the second verse, it feels like he's talking to her or directly, because he's saying, "Soon, I will hold you in my arms."
Yeah, that's true. You,
as
not her,
you sweetly sigh, our hearts will beat in you. It's like she's here.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is the second verse is more intense. And,
Great.
I hope that makes sense.
No, absolutely. I think then, in a way, maybe at the very beginning, you can be sort of more closed, maybe, and then it can open out more as we go through it. When we run it in a minute, then you can sort of find that shape, I'm sure, for the whole thing.
Yeah.
Lovely, excellent. Shall we go from to feel your beating heart to hear you sigh?
Yeah.
And we'll go into the major section.
Okay.
I'll give you the bar before.
To feel your beating heart, to hear you sigh. Your hand upon my chest, your hand in mine, darling, no need to be blue. I love you, I'd die for you. Darling, no need to feel blue. I love you. I'd die for you. I'd die for you. For you.
Oh, beautiful, excellent. I'll tell you your outro in a minute, but really, really lovely. And I love the cadenza as well. I think just going back to the first bit of the major section.
Yeah.
As you did that time actually, but not just before, take a bigger breath and a longer breath, I think, after the first blue.
Blue, yeah, right.
Because then that lovely I'd love you.
Yeah.
We can have a bit more space for that. And that worked really well that time. So let's do that every time, like that. And I also really like when you're doing I'd die so clearly, because obviously it's really important. I would say then also if we can have, because we'll be performing outside, of course, and it's really important to hear everything, your head upon my chest, even though it's a very short note actually there, that would be really, really good.
Your head upon my chest, your hand in mine,
Exactly. Great. Well, should we put all of that together then and go for a sing through? And we'll put it all then one. So I think that's a nice idea. The first verse being a bit, as you say, less intense, and then the second one really direct and to Adina.
Yeah.
Because it is called a romancer, so you're telling a story, aren't you? So I think having that big shape in the whole aria is really lovely to have.
Yeah. And he's not sad at all. He's not sad. He's got these questions to himself that I just saw Adina crying, and what could that be? What could that be? Like, so the emotions are sort of boiling up, and
Yeah, I agree. It's not sort of melancholy, is it? It's nervousness as well, I think, isn't it? And sort of slight anxiety, fear.
Yeah.
Right, let's go from the start.
Yeah. a beating heart to hear you sigh. Your head upon my chest, your hand in mine, darling, no need to be blue. I love you, I'd die for you. Darling, no need to feel blue. I love you. I die. I'd die for you. I'd die for you. For you.
Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Niamh. I'm tuning in from the National Student Opera Society. We are very, very grateful to Bertie Baigent and Thando Mjandana from Waterperry Opera Festival, who are here talking to us this evening about the relationship between conducting and the conductor and singing in an opera, specifically in relation to the show that they are currently working on, which is Donizetti's The Elixir of Love at Waterperry Opera Festival. So Bertie is the conductor of the show, and he's also the music director of the festival. And Thando is playing the role of Nemorino. So this talk is part of a series of events that we're running with Waterperry this summer. We've got lots of exciting things, including a competition. So do check out both of our social media platforms for information on that. So fantastic. I think that we will just kick off with the very first question, which is addressed to both of you, which is have you or had you worked together before taking this role at Waterperry? And how does it differ preparing a role with conductors and singers that you know versus ones that you haven't met before?
Well, we have worked together. So Thando and I actually worked not that long ago, was it, Thando? And it was it was on a piece that I'd written or that I'm writing at the moment. So I'm a conductor and a composer. And I've been working on an opera with a director I know, and we were doing a sort of workshop on, I guess, the first, how long was it? It was like half an hour, wasn't it? And Thando was being the role of one of the angels in that opera. How did you find it, Thando? It was quite fun, wasn't it? I hope.
Yeah, it was really fun. I mean, it's always fun having to sing something that hasn't been sung before, because it's I mean, obviously it is challenging because you don't have any reference that you would go to. I mean, in terms of having to listen to recordings that have been done before. So that really needs your artistry, and I mean, as a performer, it really needs your artistry and obviously your trust as well. So it was really fun. It was really fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was it was a slightly strange event in that we had just a few days to put this, as you say, pretty complicated piece together, and then we just sort of play through at the end. But it was great. And so when we came to the Elixir of Love a few days ago for the first music rehearsals, Thando and I, obviously we knew each other. I think that does really help, doesn't it, when you're not kind of meeting someone for the first time, but you're also you're meeting them professionally in a different situation to another one, but actually it's really helpful. It just kind of makes all those things easier. And I think it makes the whole process actually of the whole opera kind of feel different. When you're friends with people that you're working with as well, that's always a really helpful thing rather than being just colleagues. So that's a really good thing.
Yeah, and just to add on that, I mean it's good to work with a conductor that you already know, because you would sort of know what they want, and how they how they would demand something on you, as opposed to when you're working with someone that you don't know, you don't really know, and even if they are being sarcastic, or even if they are being rude to you, you wouldn't maybe you might take that as the wrong thing, but if it's someone that you'd sort of laugh and obviously take that, and not to make a fuss about it.
You're right. It's all those kind of small connections and body language and tone of voice, all that sort of thing, that when it's someone that you're working with them, that can first of all be much easier and more fun, but also actually I think you get a lot further musically when you can really know. And as you say, Thando, you can trust people. And I think that's a real sense. You can trust and challenge people, and the better you know someone, the more you can do that. So that's always a really great thing.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's really, really cool, and it sounds like there's a lot of risk taking involved when you feel like you trust someone more. This next question is for Bertie. So as a conductor, we wanted to know, sort of bouncing off of that, what are your first priorities in a first rehearsal with a singer? Not necessarily with the first time that you've met them, but the first rehearsal for a specific performance.
Yeah, well, I think in opera specifically, I think possibly the most fundamental thing that you can ever decide is the tempo. And that sounds like a very simple thing to say, but actually I think it's maybe the most fundamental thing. And tempo affects so many other things. Like obviously it affects words and how clear the words can be. And obviously in opera, that's particularly opera in English, that's a really important thing. But it affects so many other things in the stage work. And for instance, say Thando has to cross the stage while singing one line. Obviously the speed of the music really affects that, and that affects all the things that the director can do. And I think everyone comes to a rehearsal with their own idea of tempo, and that's from maybe they've sung the role before, and so they'll be able to draw on that experience. Maybe I've conducted the piece before, I can draw on that experience. Everyone's listened to recordings, so they're going to know what's the sort of bounds of possibility, if you like. But also we all have our own ideas, our own kind of hopes for what a tempo might be. And I think when you get to rehearsal, that initial sort of negotiation for the tempo is maybe the most important thing that you ever do, actually. And really, I think that's, as I say, everything else flows from that. And you wouldn't start thinking about where consonants are going to go, or whether something's really legato, or anything else. Everything comes from the tempo. And I think finding that and agreeing that and establishing that is kind of the most important thing. And that's really what I'm looking for, first of all.
Amazing, thank you. I just wondered if I could interrogate that word negotiates. Would you call it a negotiation as such, and how much would you say that it's one or the other, the singer or the conductor?
It's a really good question. I would say it is a negotiation, discussion. So, for instance, actually, I'll give you an instance from the rehearsal this morning. We were doing a duet with Thando and with Adina, who's another singer, obviously. So Thando and Adina have this duet, and Adina sings the verse first of all, and then there's something else, and then Thando sings, or Nemorino sings, the same music. And so obviously there we've got sort of three different ideas of what this might be. And it's really important, I think, that both Thando and Alison, who's singing Adina, are very comfortable with that. And, it works with their breath and so on and so forth. But also that both for me as a conductor and for our director, there's something that we feel we can work with to achieve our priorities. And so it's really a question of, sitting down and thinking about what everyone needs to get out of this scene and what the characters, their development needs to be, what the director needs to have, really physically and logistically on stage, what I'm thinking about in terms of the orchestra as well, and of course musically, what the most desirable tempo is going to be, respecting the composer's wishes, and also, I guess, to some extent, the sort of recorded history of a piece as famous as Elixir of Love. So I think, I say it's a negotiation because there are so many different things, different factors going on, and it's really finding the tempo which is best going to serve all of those different factors. Would you agree with that, Thando?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I agree with that totally.
Fantastic.
Amazing. And yeah, I love that. That's a really good example. Something that has to be sung, same music and two singers. Thank you for giving us that. So the next question is for Thando. We wanted to know to what extent you're aware of and responding to the conductor during live performances, and then how that differs from rehearsals.
That's very interesting. Well, first of all, for the rehearsals, obviously, you've got time to because we rehearse in order for us to make a show good for the audience and for ourselves also. So in the rehearsals, obviously, you could stop and I mean, if there's any misunderstanding or you missed a cue or whatever, you are allowed to stop. You can just stop and then do that again, as opposed to when it's live performance. It's even if you make any mistake, you have to forgive yourself instantly. The instant forgiveness, and then move on because the show carries on, and it only comes once. That's the best part about the live performances, not the recordings and rehearsals. Because you only have one chance to do it once, and then you carry on. So whatever that happens on stage in a live performance, whatever bad thing that has happened, you have to forgive yourself and then move on and carry on. I mean, there's a lot that you still need to sing. There's a lot that you still need to do. So the instant forgiveness is important. So I think that's what makes it better. Well, not better, but that's what makes the difference between the two. Having to when you are in a live performance and in the rehearsal. I'm not sure if that makes sense.
Yeah, really, really interesting. Thank you.
Yeah.
And actually, that talk of forgiveness is quite interesting. I wonder whether after a performance, you forgive yourself during the performance. Would you ever do a sort of debrief afterwards, or a discussion with the conductor in between performances to maybe discuss what went well and what didn't?
Yes, I mean, some conductors do that. They would send you like notes, maybe by email or whatever, or maybe in person. That maybe for the next performance, let's look at this part. Some conductors do that, and some they would go back to the rehearsals and be like, oh, actually in the rehearsals you did get this thing, so it was probably one of those situations in the performance, because in the performances, like every performance is different, so I mean, and there are a lot of things like adrenaline, nerves, and everything. So maybe you missed the cue because of the nerves that you had, but normally you would get that every time in the rehearsal, but you just missed it once in the performance. So well, some conductors, they do give you notes and try and sort that part out.
Can I jump in there? And I think you're absolutely right, Thando, that there's a sort of freedom actually in performance that, I don't think there's ever been any performance ever which has been completely perfect. And I think there's actually, as you say, that idea that the show has to go on. It's a cliche, I know, but it's true. And I think sometimes you end up with these incredibly sort of exciting moments where something doesn't quite happen as it does in the rehearsal, and we can argue about whether that's a mistake or not if it's different from the rehearsal. But as long as it works on stage, I think actually that's great. That's exactly what you're hoping for. That kind of moment of difference perhaps from the rehearsal, but of sort of spontaneity and freedom in a performance. And that's really what makes performance so exciting. And with opera, as you say, because you normally get more than one performance, whereas for a concert we'd often just have one, there is that chance to sort of improve things night to night and to make stuff more and more exciting, more and more committed, to correct things, sure, if they need to be corrected, but actually just to think about how you can take your performance to the next level on each night is a really great thing. And I think if you have a good connection with the singers and the orchestra and between the singers as well, there's no sort of limit to how far it can go. It's really, really fascinating.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. I wondered next whether we could go to talking a little bit about the specific show you guys are both in rehearsals for. So you've started, just started rehearsals for the Elixir of Love at Waterperry. We just wanted to know how it's going so far. How's it been?
It's been really good. I think it's been so lovely to get back into rehearsing after everyone's had a very strange year with less opera than they hoped they'd have. And so it's great to get back into it. I always love the moments actually where we go from, we do music rehearsals, of course, and, I enjoy that. And that's kind of my job. But actually the moment I really love is when we go back into production rehearsals. And to some extent, the conductor sort of takes a back seat there. It's really the director who's in charge, but you're still there working with all the singers. And that seems to me, that's an amazing moment when it really comes to life for the first time. And we're on the marked out stage in the rehearsal hall. And we can really sort of start to visualize things. I don't know how you feel, Thando. That for me is a really exciting moment when you suddenly, it stops being like a concert and it becomes an opera.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, in the music hall rehearsals, I mean, obviously you have to do everything that is, it's the conductor and the singers. You have to do, yeah. So everything has to be precise, and whereas in the production rehearsals, I love the relationship between the conductor, the director, and the singers as well. Like for an example, let's say I was not supposed to take a rest here because of the music, but then the director would say, no, actually take your time here and have another thought and then do this thing. Whereas it is not written on the score. So that's what I'm saying. I love the relationship between the singers, conductor, and the director as well. I think it's a very good thing, and obviously having to be back on stage and singing again, it's always a privilege, And
I think specifically on this show, certainly for you, I think this is the first time you've sung Nemorino, isn't it? And it's the first time I've conducted this show. And for at least one of our other cast members, for Adina, it's the first time she's sung Adina. And I think there's a great sort of freshness to that, we're all coming to this new, really, and we don't have that many preconceptions about it. So for this particular show, that's very exciting as well. And we're all really excited about the possibilities of what we can do at Waterperry.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's so exciting. And yeah, like what an opportunity for you all to be getting to do it for the first time. I wondered, Thando, whether you could tell us what ideas you have brought to the role of Nemorino, and then Bertie and Thando, how have you worked together to make those ideas come to life?
Well, the another thing that I was gonna mention earlier, but obviously I'm gonna mention it now. When we are doing a role that has been done before, it's much easier because you will have a lot of recordings that you listen to, and when you get to the rehearsal room, you sort of trying to mix all those characters that you've sort of made in your mind, and then obviously that's where the director and the conductor will intervene and be like, okay, anyway, let's keep this thought. I love this. Let's scratch this one. I don't like this one. Something like that. Now, building a character for me, first of all, I need to know the time that we are into. Like for example, now we are in the 1950s. So I would have to dig deep and see how the people back then reacted and how they behaved themselves. Like an example, a 20-year-old person in 1950 is very different to a 20-year-old now. So and even the way they think, even the way they behave, even the way they handle themselves. So I have to go and dig deep, and that will help me in terms of my character. Um, that okay, Nemorino is a young boy at that time. Maybe he's 18, 20, maybe. Um, how how will he react? How will he behave? How will he handle himself compared to now? And what is the difference between Nemorino and Thando? So trying to work out all those aspects and trying to build a character from that and then develop it to the next level.
Yeah. And I guess my sort of job as a conductor is to start thinking about, all those things you mentioned. And obviously I've got my own ideas, and Dan, the director, has his own ideas about Nemorino as a character. And for me, it's about trying to find which musical details we can bring out in order to express that character. And they can be very, very small things. Like, for instance, it can be a way of doing rhythm. So, some characters might in general do very strong rhythm, and it might be very powerful, very crisp, and that's just the way they speak. And other characters might do a much more relaxed sort of rhythm. And, something is sort of, again, it's quite fundamental, but in a way it's also quite simple. Something like that can really bring a character to life or not. And it's finding those small little details which help the characterization. And that's, as you say, Thando, that's where it's really exciting to talk to the singer and the director and the conductor all together and work out what we can do for Nemorino.
Yeah.
Really interesting. Thank you. And I love that example again of the way that the music mimics the characters and how you can use that to develop physicality and everything. Well, it's really exciting. I think that is it for today's questions. But it's quite exciting because NSOS are actually running a competition currently that's up on our Instagram to watch the opening night, I think, of the Elixir of Love. So more information can be found on our socials for that. That's it for tonight. Everyone, thank you very, very much, Bertie and Thando, for speaking to us.